segment. I am so excited about who our next guest is going to be. There is a lot of things going on in Buffalo Public Schools, and a lot of opportunity for parents to really make a difference as it relates to what's going on with their children. There's so many things right in this moment because of COVID that the situation we are in is going to cause us to create solutions that may have never existed before to solve the problems that we have when it comes to our children. And so there's so often where we get people who are only can talk about the problem, but very rarely do we get people who can come up with a solution. So I'm so excited that we have Miss Gwen Howard. How you doing today, Miss Howard?
I am well, and you, Sam?
Oh, it's a beautiful day to be alive. I ain't got no complaint. It's such a pleasure to meet you. So people might know Gwen because she's the president of the Preservation Board in Buffalo, you know what I'm saying? But we have her here today in another topic. She is here as a parent. You work with the parents at Olmsted. Are you in a position with Olmsted parents, or are you just a parent who cares about what's happening with your children?
I'm just a parent who cares about what's happening with my kids. I have two twin boys that are seniors at Olmsted 156.
Okay, you got twins. All right, I got twins, boy, girl. You got boy twins.
Boys.
Okay, yes. All right. And good. So what we want to talk about Gwen today? I mean, I got a chance to catch you on the news, and you know your boys. Do both of them play soccer?
Yes, they do.
They both play soccer. Okay. And so when we got a chance to talk to see you on the news talking about a concern that you have as relates to the opportunity for them to play soccer. So why don't you give us a little bit of background of what was going on, what was happening, and then let's just kind of talk about what took place from there.
Sure. So nobody was really sure what was going to happen with sports at the beginning of the school year. And it came as quite a surprise when Buffalo Public Schools canceled all fall sports. The day before Section 6, which is the athletic group that they participate in, said that the medium risk sports, which included soccer and cross country, could be played and were going to be played by every district in Western New York. And so we were stunned and shocked because I have two boys that play soccer, but there are kids all over Buffalo that play on soccer teams that needed an opportunity to play.
Now let me ask this question. Up until that point, had y'all been practicing?
There were no official practices.
There was only unofficial practicing going on because school was fully remote,
Right.
and so the kids got together on their own and was just doing informal practices.
The kids got together on their own to prepare themselves.
Now you said Buffalo Public Schools said that they would not be doing sports. So what does Section 6 say as relates to the sports?
Section 6 said that the high-risk sports, which included football, cheerleading, and volleyball, would be postponed at this point until the spring of 2021, but that all other sports would be canceled.
Okay, so where did soccer fall on that?
Medium risk, and so it's just canceled.
Oh, so soccer was just being canceled. So that's what Section 6 said.
No, Section 6 said that, Section 6 said that soccer would continue.
Okay, so let's go back and explain that to me, because I went back and I watched the board meeting just to hear this discussion take place. So at this point, Section 6, which is schools all over West New York.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Section 6 covers schools from where to where?
Everywhere.
I mean,
It's all over West New York.
all right, so it's both Erie and Niagara County.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so Section 6, you know, because we talk about Section 6 all the time in football and basketball, but Section 6 soccer, you know, that's the same thing, right?
Correct.
Okay, so Section 6 said, what about schools? It said schools could play or they couldn't play.
Section 6 said schools could play, and that they would leave it up to the discretion of the district of whether or not they chose to play. And of, I believe, the 76 schools that participate in Section 6, or school districts that participate in Section 6, only one chose not to play, and that was Buffalo.
Wait. So Section 6 said they were going to go ahead with their league.
Correct.
We're going to play soccer.
Correct.
Now, it's up to a school district to decide whether they want to play or not.
Correct.
And so out of 76 districts, only one decided not to play.
Correct.
And so, did Section 6 do anything to make sure that parents knew that it was going to be safe? I mean, did they put any information out so parents can be secure about the fact that if you went ahead with the sport, they didn't have to worry about any of the protocols that potentially would make their kids be potentially vulnerable to, you know, to the coronavirus?
Yes, Section 6 established protocols for play that included masks on the sidelines, social distancing, sanitizing before you went into a game. No crazy things like no spitting on your hands if you're a keeper, on your gloves, no high fives, no game celebrations. They modified certain portions of the game, potentially like corner kicks. And so there were a lot of safeguards in place through Section 6 that all the teams would follow.
And the safeguard was so comprehensive that 75 out of 76 schools said, okay, we're going to go ahead and play.
Correct.
So
And all the Catholic schools and all the private schools.
So you said all of the Catholic schools, all of the private schools, and all of the Section 6 public schools with the exception of Buffalo.
Correct.
Okay, and since your children go to Buffalo, that's the one that mattered to you.
Correct.
Okay, so when you went to find out to Buffalo, I mean, obviously you must have went and talked to somebody at Buffalo to find out why Buffalo was saying no. What did they tell you about why they wasn't doing it when everybody else was?
I haven't gotten an answer yet.
Whoa.
One day I sent emails to all of my elected representatives, to all of to superintendents, to assistant superintendents. I haven't gotten an answer other than a form answer that was the same answer from Mr. House, who's the acting athletic director. And I got the same, no matter what I sent him, I got 2 of the exact same form responses that did not say anything other than, sorry, we're not changing our mind, we're canceling it. And I placed 53 phone calls one day and I never found a live body that would speak to me. So we've never actually had an opportunity for any dialogue.
Wait a minute. What about so you telling me the coach of the team or the principal of the school, nobody talked to the parents about a decision not to have a whole sport?
Unfortunately, the coach had to convey the information to the players, which was a sad and unfortunate conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But there's never been any communication at all offered, and we've requested communications. Could someone from the school please explain to the students why you're doing this?
So
and no one's ever done that.
So they never engaged the parents in the conversation, got parent input at all?
No.
You know, so every school's supposed to have a school-based management team where you're supposed to have what they call school-based planning and shared decision-making. So decisions about what happens with our children should not happen in a vacuum. It should have parents, teachers, administrators, school board members, you know, all part of the conversation. So nowhere that you're aware of were parents engaged, parents of students who play the sport were engaged in a conversation about why. What about when they were deliberating to make the decision?
We never knew they were even deliberating. It was a stunning decision that we got. There was never any public discussion that it would happen. It just showed up one day. The day before Section 6 said we could play, Buffalo schools canceled all sports.
Now, and it's interesting too, because I saw in the newscast it said that the notice came out at 12:18 on a Tuesday.
Correct.
And in order to get on the speakers list to say something about it, you have to call by 12 o'clock on Tuesday.
Correct.
So there wasn't even an opportunity for parents to mobilize and go to the Board of Education and say, wait a minute, stop, give us more information, or don't do it. That opportunity was not even given.
Correct.
Yeah, so I mean, so obviously this creates a situation where, as a parent, you know, I mean, how'd you feel as a parent? Your children are seniors, so this is going to have a permanent impact in a sense.
Correct. And I was heartbroken for them, but I wasn't just heartbroken for my kids, because there are kids at many high schools in Buffalo that play competitive sport. And some of those are our new Americans who don't have parents that can
That's right.
advocate for them. I know a lot of these kids because my kids play soccer and have played soccer for 12 years now.
Wow.
13 years now. And so some of them, one of my sons plays on a highly competitive club team that travels around the Northeast. He's played in the Netherlands. I mean, he is looking to play soccer in college. And he plays with a lot of other players, several from the Buffalo Public Schools, who are looking to do the same. And there are other clubs that have similar players in them. And so those players have no opportunity to get any exposure to colleges or to college coaches. They don't have an opportunity to get any game film to show a coach, which is required. And there are many, many players that really use this as one of their stepping stones to get into college. So we were trying to find a way to make sure that all of those players, not just my kids, but all of those players have an opportunity to have some representation if they're looking to play in college, and to get an opportunity to play a sport which is so important for youth development, academic development, physical development, and their sanity during this crazy time.
Well, we're going to talk in a minute about you did come up with a solution, but I want to say this for parents who are listening, right? Because here's the larger point. Because of your resources and your networking, you're able to come up with a solution, but a lot of times parents are not able to come up with a solution. So in this particular case, there was, until to this day, there was no explanation given to parents for why Buffalo, being the only school district, decided not to do these sports. When every other school district, and every public school, every private school, every Catholic school, all of them felt like the conditions were safe enough for their children to play.
What makes this decision so shocking when I was doing research is during the summer, everybody was on pins and needles waiting for Section 6 to come out and say what fall sports is going to be played. Football teams, everybody waiting like, okay, what's going to happen? So when Section 6 released that it was all the high-risk sports weren't going to be played, it was disappointment. But when they also said that all the medium-risk sports was going to be played, those players got excited because they said, okay, if the governing body of the Section 6 says it's good to play, we should be able to play it. That was the overwhelming feeling from people who were waiting for that decision to come down anyway.
And so that means even to this day we need an answer. I mean, if there was a deliberative process that went on to where they came to that conclusion, we should know that. Somebody should be telling us, a board member, the superintendent, the athletic director. Somebody should be explaining to the community, explaining to parents, why was the decision made? Because you can't say it was a safety issue, because clearly, how was it unsafe for our kids and not unsafe for everybody else's kids?
Well, the other piece of that decision that's really flummoxing to me is that they made a decision to cancel the high-risk sports, but they made that decision across the board. So there is an opportunity for those high-risk sports to all play during this alternate spring season that they are establishing for all of the high-risk sports in Section 6. If now the medium-risk sports are playing in 75 other districts, they're not going to run. Section 6 is not going to run a soccer season just for the Buffalo Public School kids because Buffalo decided they weren't going to do it.
Exactly.
So now everybody's excited because there is an opportunity potentially for the high-risk sports to be able to play. But the medium-risk sport kids are left out in the cold. So that's the cross-country kids and the soccer kids.
Swimming, it's a couple medium risk sports.
I went through the list and I saw all the medium risk sports, but I guess what I'm saying at this point, because we are remote right now, we don't know what's going to happen in the spring. If they made the decision to cancel the sport, and it looks like in this situation, soccer, just for Buffalo Public School, that canceling was permanent. I mean, you can't reschedule it for the spring because everybody else has already played. You know what I'm saying? So so what possible, just from your own perspective, could you think of anything that would prevent Buffalo in this case from doing it when everybody else is doing it?
No. You've stumped me. No.
Yeah, and I'm
If they
saying,
gave me a viable answer, I'd love to hear it, but nobody will even give me an answer.
yeah, and we as parents, and I hope you listen to Dr. Mastretta and and Jessica and and all the people from all the parent groups, Neil Dobbs, everybody. I hope you're listening because up until this day, there is no answer. And as parent leaders, we have to take responsibility to get an answer to that question because some of our kids were impacted. There was a decision made that impacted our children, and we still don't know the rationale for the decision, which means that decision can be made about something else. If people are comfortable making that decision and without parental input and without, did anybody come talk to you about the potential impact of the decision?
No, I don't think they understand the impact of the decision.
Wow.
Yeah, and she touched on it a little bit, but when the high-risk sports have a chance to play still, so they have a chance to put film out, to see how college coaches can watch them play. That's a huge impact on the athlete who wants to play any division in college, Division III, JUCO, Division I, Division II. Having film and having a coach come see you play in person is hugely important. So when they push that back to the spring, that still gives those seniors opportunity to put film on. But when they outright cancel a season, that means for the next couple of months, the college recruiters, they got no film on you. They haven't seen you play since last year, so that's an impact on your recruitment.
Now,
And so when they ask for film, what do you say? Well, everybody else I know is playing, but I'm sorry, my school just
I don't have
decided
film.
we weren't gonna play.
and it's the largest school district in Section 6, right? I mean, it's the
Yes.
largest, and they decided not to do it. So, why don't you talk about what are some of the impacts that you believe that they're not sensitive to? What's some of the potential impacts
Well,
to the decision they made?
well, first of all, there's obviously those students that wanna play in college. That's a significant one, because for many kids, that opportunity gets them a little extra edge in getting in, and particularly for students that want to go to a competitive school. There are a number of outstanding soccer players in Buffalo.
Mhm.
Outstanding soccer players. Some of the best in the region are in Buffalo.
Really, and I understand our English language learner population have a lot of talented soccer players.
Yes, because they've had a ball on their foot since the day they were born.
Mhm.
But for other students, academic eligibility is the only reason why they're performing well in the classroom.
Mm.
So those students that need to maintain academic eligibility, that is the reason that they get up and go to school, whether it's virtual or in the class
That's true.
each day.
That's true. That's
That-
real.
that is I mean, I'm speaking from experience. That is a huge driver. The conversations you have early on in school, it's like, we got to be eligible. So you got to work harder. And that thing hanging over your head where if you're not eligible, you can't play, that's a real thing in a child's life. So that's
And
huge.
think about this: when all of your other peers, particularly when you're really talented at it, all of them are playing, and you're
sitting
not
there,
playing.
And you're sitting there.
Yeah, and you got to go to school, get up and get on a virtual class every day, and your motivation now, and everybody else gets to play, and then nobody even offer you a reason why. Nobody give you a clear explanation
Right,
why.
and there's a host of other things that, I mean, you could talk about why youth sport and academic sport is so important. So it's so important because it teaches teamwork. It teaches you how to win gracefully, but also how to lose gracefully
Absolutely.
and accept defeat with your head held high and not have an angry reaction. It teaches you accountability to your peers and that there is no I in team.
That's right.
Right? But it also is an opportunity in a district like Buffalo where there is so much concern and discussion about equity and
Yep.
racial justice and accepting the other students that may be different from you. There is no place where they work better together than when they are on a team. And so you take
Absolutely.
that cooperative attitude and that acceptance of people that are different and learning from other cultures, and it just trickles down and throughout everything. So there's been all this discussion about classes that they wanted to teach better ways for people to work with each other. There is no better way than the day-to-day activity
And-
of being with a teammate on a field.
Absolutely.
And what you're saying is right now, that's more important than ever. I mean, literally coming out of the social unrest we had all summer, the COVID-19, kids not being able to be in school with each other, that right now may be more important than ever. And so now that being taken away from kids with no explanation, it seemed like exactly the wrong decision.
Right.
And then when you look at it coming from the top down, I mean, that's not very good teamwork because there was not a process that included everybody to where we all sat around the table and we heard the rationale. Because obviously other school districts heard the rationale and they made a different decision.
Correct.
So if we were at the table and we heard the rationale, I mean, at least we could have understood. Now we can't even understand because we don't know what the rationale for the decision
And
was.
that's interesting because the question for Buffalo Public Schools has to be, you knew this was going to be asked. When 75 other districts make a decision to do something, and you're the lone one that stands out and says no, the explanation has to be there because the question going to be asked. If everybody around you, everybody around you makes a decision to say yes and you say no, and we ask why and you just look at us and say, because we did, come on. You got to know that's
If
coming.
there are different facts that they want to share, then they need to share those because, it's true. If everybody's jumping off the bridge, do you go do it? No. But if there are different facts that they have that everybody else had, please share them because maybe there's something unsafe for everybody else. But there were no facts shared.
Exactly.
But if everybody's jumping off the bridge, I don't know if I want to stay on the bridge if everybody's jumping off the bridge. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Right.
It must be something I don't know. I mean, come on. I mean, everybody feel like it's safe enough that they're going to send their kids. We talk about our children. People are not going to send their children in harm's way without exploring whether it's safe or not. So, I mean, unless our kids are different some kind of way, I mean, why would it not be safe for our kids when it's been safe for everybody else? We talk about everybody else.
Well, and I think that there's just an incredible lack of equity. There's an incredible lack of equity. You don't offer people opportunity by sheltering them in a closet. You offer opportunity by working twice as hard to make sure that they get an opportunity just like the suburban districts.
And then the other part of it is you give them the choice. If you're concerned that parents don't want to do it, just give them a choice. Let the parents who don't want to do it not do it. Let the parents who want to do it, and then you don't have this potential backlash by making the decision for them. How you make a decision in their best interest without including them in the process?
Right.
Yeah, so this is something that we really, even though it's a moot point as it relates to the soccer program right now, I think just on the principle of it, especially in this remote environment, it's something that we got to push right now. I know in the board meeting I saw, there were a number of board members who were upset about what took place. You know what I'm saying? I saw the board members, basically, what they talked about at the board meeting was whenever a decision was made, the district said that they had to make a decision right away, so they didn't have time to run it by the board because they had a deadline to respond to Section 6. So they have a decision, they have a chance to run it by the board. So board members were upset about the fact that they were not included in the decision.
That seems a little odd, since Section 6 made the decision the next day after Buffalo made their announcement, and then said, and it will be up to the districts to decide whether or not to have decided, but to decide.
And the district, and one of the board members made that exact point. As a matter of fact, one of the board members made that point, and then Dr. Brown Hall said that our deadline they gave us was we had to have it in before the board meeting, and the board member said, well, no, my understanding is that y'all had until today. We would have had time to deliberate this, and he said that's not information that he said I have different information than you. That's what took place. And if you want to go see that, you can go to the September 13th, I believe it is, board meeting. Is right online, buffaloschools.org, and is at the last 10 minutes of the meeting where they have the discussion.
And if you read the Section 6 release on what's going to happen, they are real specific. They give the start date on when you can start practicing, when everything's going to start, and they literally, in writing, they say, Section 6, it will be left up to the district on whether they can play or not. And they give all the things that you have to comply with if you decide to play. That is right there. You can go research that on the Section 6 website.
Right. So I'm just saying, as parents, we got to get to the bottom of what took place here, and then make sure it don't take place again. I mean, we can't go back and undo this situation, but I think we should raise enough sand to where we get an explanation from the administration about what the process was, how the decision was made, and just make sure that kind of decision making is not something that, because people were victimized by this decision making. I mean, literally. I'm saying we can't sit by passively. But the good news is, in this particular case, you didn't sit by and say, okay, well, too bad, my children are not going to be able to play soccer this year. Their senior year is all gone. The district made a bad decision. You didn't just throw your hands up and give up on the situation. What did you do?
Well, it wasn't just me.
All right, well, yeah.
There were a lot of people. I'm one of many people
okay, great.
that participated. But
and that's important to know.
But there are a lot of people that cared. And so after a lot of conversation in the community, in the soccer community, Delaware Soccer stepped up. And Delaware Soccer is a nonprofit in the city of Buffalo that provides soccer opportunities to kids to all kids, regardless of their circumstance. And so they, give $30,000 in scholarships to little kids playing house soccer in Delaware Park, and they have travel teams. And so Delaware Soccer agreed to start a league for students in the Buffalo Public School District. Turned out there were 105 young men that chose to register within the course of a week and a half.
Wow.
They represent 10 high schools. They're loosely affiliated according to the high schools that they attend. Delaware Soccer registered that with New York State West, which is the governing body that oversees the kind of non-academic and travel soccer leagues in Western New York.
So is that part of the New York State PYSAA?
No, it's like travel soccer is like AAU, like travel.
Oh, it's like AAU. Okay,
Right.
Got you. Okay.
So
it's still governed by state education department, state ed.
I don't know that.
Oh.
No, it's governed. It's its own entity.
Okay.
So this is unaffiliated with Section 6.
Okay.
There are no standings or rankings. It doesn't count into your points for your Section 6 rankings or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
This, for all intents and purposes, sad to say, it is a glorified house soccer league specifically for U16 to U19 players, which are those that are 9th to 12th graders in high school. They play against each other. They have, Delaware Soccer has arranged that entire league and registered all of those players. There was some generous contributions that are paying for the ref fees, so they have.
Okay, so before you go to that, I want to just stay with Delaware Soccer for 1 minute, if you don't
Sure.
mind, right? So Delaware Soccer didn't already have a league, and they just integrated them to a
No.
league. So they actually created a solution.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Based on the needs of parents, based on the needs of kids, they came together and they created a solution to meet the need based on what was going on in the community.
Correct.
Wow. That's commendable, and I just want to make sure we acknowledge that how significant it is. Because I think that a lot of times what happens when people get into situations, if there's not a pathway, something already made, a path to a solution already done, people don't take it. So when you have people step up and they create a solution, that's kind of what I think we got to do nowadays. There's so many different things going on because of COVID-19. We may have to just figure out how to solve the problem. And I'm saying that because I think that has to be part of the conversation with Buffalo Public Schools. Meaning that it may have been difficult to figure out how we were going to get to a solution
But we
to make
did it
sure our
in 2
kids.
weeks.
See, that's my point. If people sit at the table and you bring all the resources together, people can figure it out. And if they can't figure it out, they can create a solution, right? And so Delaware did it, and you said that Delaware Soccer they did it in 2 weeks.
Yes.
In 2 weeks, they had a whole new league set up.
In a whole new league.
And we got to commend the soccer community as well, because to have 105 students sign up, that's amazing. That's 105 students. That's
And-
great.
And let me just add to that. They signed up, but these players are playing for free. They did not pay a registration fee. They're not paying to do this. Delaware Soccer is providing this for free.
Wow. Kudos to Delaware Soccer, you know what I'm saying? And so now you said, but soccer is, so the league is one thing, but now there's a whole bunch of other things that have to be done. So what happened next?
Well, so we had to have uniforms. So a local business that is Greg's Tree Service that's located in Bowmansville.
Okay.
He is the husband of a Buffalo Public School teacher.
Okay.
He donated the uniforms.
Wow,
And
okay.
got them printed within a week.
So how many teams did you say?
5 teams.
So all 5 teams got free uniforms?
Yes.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Okay.
With numbers.
With numbers, okay.
With numbers. Distinct and separate numbers. Not necessarily their number of choice, but distinct and separate numbers.
Okay.
There were donations that paid, you gotta have refs.
That's right.
You gotta have real refs with real patches that
right.
understand the rules.
Certified refs?
Certified refs. So we have certified refs, 3 refs at every game. You've got a center and 2 sidelines.
Wow.
And you gotta have a place to play.
Right.
And you gotta have a good place to play, because we can't always guarantee at this time of year that the fields are suitable for play. So Nardin had recently completed 2 new fields behind their indoor facility. These are state-of-the-art
Wow.
lit turf fields with
Turf fields,
with
wow.
heated bathrooms and
Brand
a place-
new state-of-the-art
Yes.
field.
And Nardin, thank you Nardin,
Thank
has
you, Nardin.
donated the field time
Oh, wow, at no cost.
at no cost.
Oh, awesome.
Because everybody else seems to understand how important it is for these kids to play for so much more than just, oh, I want to play soccer. There's so much more at stake for these kids than
Wow.
just playing a high school season, which is important. But college, teamwork, academic eligibility, all those things were so important. Now, this is not affiliated with the Buffalo Public Schools.
But these are all Buffalo Public School students.
Yes.
So who? I mean,
And this, let me just say this. And when we say that's really such a good example of City of Good Neighbors. I mean, where people come together and they figure out what we got to do to meet the needs of our children. So, I mean, a big shout out to Nardin, Delaware Soccer, Greg's Tree Service, all those people who, and all the parents who got together and made sure that the kids had this experience this year. That was really, really commendable.
so did you get volunteer coaches as well to help coach these teams?
Yes.
Are they parents? Are they from the public schools? Like who's?
The Buffalo Public School coaches were not allowed to give out information to their students about the league. We do know that.
Wait, don't move past that. What you mean by not allowed?
All I know is they weren't allowed to give out information about.
So they know about the public schools. They can know about the league. So, but if a student came and said, "Hey, I heard about this league. Can I play?"
No, but why wouldn't the coach call them and say, "Listen, you said
that's what I'm saying, they
we're not playing, but here's a league that's being set up for you, essentially." Why wouldn't he be able to call all his players and let them know that?
And also, why wouldn't a coach who chooses to volunteer their time to a nonprofit soccer organization be allowed to do that?
So it wasn't allowed?
I can't really speak
Well,
to
you know,
that.
it's interesting because this conversation again took place at the board meeting. You know what I'm saying? It's really important because one of the district administrator tried to deny that the coaches were, because what one of the board members, I think it was board president Sharon Cotman, had said was that coaches were told that they could not have any communication with their students. You know what I'm saying? Because that they was not going forward these programs this year, and so therefore they would not be paid, and so they could not have any communication with the student. And Dr. Brown Hall denied that emphatically. He said a coach would never do that. He said that this would never happen. And he said that's just a rumor. She said 4 separate coaches told me that. It can't be a rumor if 4 separate coaches told me that. You know what I'm saying? So it is a back
Well,
and
if
forth.
you know about it, then it has to be true.
So, but that's really the point I'm getting to. At this point, something is going on behind the scenes, you know, that clearly is not in the best interest of our students. And we gotta, and as parents, we gotta take responsibility to kind of unearth that, because clearly people made decisions. If coaches, why would they not coach their own children? If their children, their team is playing in the league. If they're volunteer, they already coaching them anyway. At school, why would they choose not to unless there was something involved with why they wouldn't do it?
Well, and it's not affiliated, I want to be very clear that this is not affiliated with the Buffalo Public Schools.
right.
And if someone wants to volunteer their time to a nonprofit soccer organization.
What does that
it
got to
would
do with
be-
the school?
What does it got to do with the schools? It would be like them coaching their 4-year-old's little soccer team. I
Exactly.
mean, it's really the same. This is
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, how a teacher chooses to volunteer their time to benefit the community only proves that they're a teacher that really cares about
Exactly.
the community.
And it happens quite often. I mean, I played travel basketball, and high school coaches coach travel basketball because it's not affiliated with high school. So you can go volunteer your time and travel and coach travel basketball all you want because it's not an affiliation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that again, why they would not be able to do that is a good question.
But I would like to acknowledge that there are a number of trained coaches that are volunteering their time to
It's
coach these
amazing.
teams.
Which is an important thing to note. I don't know if everybody noticed, but in Buffalo Public Schools, in order to be a coach, you have to be a certified teacher. They have to have the first option to coaching. You know what I'm saying? So you don't always have a certified coach. You don't always have, in every situation, football, basketball, track, you don't always have somebody who has a background in the sport, right? So in this particular case, it may turn out that because now obviously all these coaches they're trained in soccer. These are actual
Not
coaches.
all of them,
Okay.
but many of them are.
Okay.
But there are certified coaches that can step in at any time. There is one that's a parent volunteer, but a very well trained. His son is not playing, and is listed. If you read the newspaper about the team, the dream team of Section 6, his son is listed as an also ran who is supposed to be on the team but can't because Buffalo Public Schools isn't playing.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
wow.
there are. This
Wow.
is just.
This
The
is layered.
implication-
Wow.
Yeah, we really got to get behind this and really get to the bottom of what took place here. I mean,
I
because
just want to make sure all of these kids have an opportunity.
Yeah.
So how-
This is not about my kids or my kids' school. This is
Yeah.
about all of them.
but go on.
How often do they play?
They play once. They play every Saturday and Sunday. There are 2 games on Saturday, 1 game on Sunday.
Okay.
Every of the 5 teams, everybody is playing each team twice.
Okay.
So some people have bye weeks and stuff.
Right.
So
Is the league still going on now?
Yes,
Okay, gotcha.
through November 14th.
Okay. And,
How-
and y'all have a champion? Y'all crown a champion at the end of the whole 9?
We might have a COVID Cup, but
A COVID
there
Cup.
will be some standings. There are standings.
There you go, the COVID Cup.
What's the reception like from the kids who are doing it? Are they enjoying themselves out there?
They're absolutely enjoying themselves. My son, my one son says, this is some of the hardest I've ever played, and it is the most fun. Because they're doing exactly what they love with a bunch of players who are in it absolutely to play.
And I got this because something is going on in the back of my head right now. So I'm asking this question just based on what's going on in the back of my head right now. Are all the students who would play on all the teams Buffalo Public School students, are there any students that are on the team that are not Buffalo Public School students?
There is one student that registered from Sweet Home. We don't know how that student found out about it, but that student found out about it. So there's one player that was from outside of Buffalo Public Schools, but all the others are Buffalo Public School students. And they represent the Culinary Institute, and there are players from Burgard, and there are players from iPrep, there are players from McKinley and Lafayette, Olmsted, I'm trying to remember them all, City Honors, did I say McKinley?
No.
McKinley, Hutch,
So,
and there's one more.
wow, so they are there.
Yeah, but no, because what I'm saying is that at this point, because I mean, I know it's all loosely done. I know it's not Section 6
Regulated.
Yeah. There has to be a conversation about whether this was necessary to put these students in this situation. And if y'all done did the work this much, this gone this far, I mean, there has to be a legal argument that students similarly situated are being treated differently. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when it's all said and done, I mean, when you get to the equity issue. I mean, there may be a way, you know what I'm saying, they have a conversation about how do we have a real conversation about how to make these children whole? I mean, if they, in this particular, if the Buffalo Public Schools did something that created injury for these children, and then as a result of the parents and community came together and went ahead and they created a solution to that. You know what I'm saying? Why can't we figure out a way? If you have standings and you did everything you would have normally do, why can't we figure out a way to have them included in something going beyond? Why can't we at least fight for that?
I think that's the next step.
Yeah.
That's the next step.
Yeah, because y'all had a league. You know what I'm saying? I mean, y'all have a league. Y'all have legitimate refs. Y'all follow all the regular rules. Y'all, you know, I mean, I think we should just. I think that should be part of the fight. You know what I'm saying? Because this goes to November what?
14.
November 14th. If you had a championship, it will go till.
There won't, no.
Okay, gotcha.
We've got
The
the
14th
field,
is to 14th.
So it'll be based
When
on
is the
standings.
sectional championships? If they went to the sectionals, when would that be?
About the same time.
About the same time? Yeah.
And so I'm about to say that's my question. So basically, all the Buffalo Public Schools kids, they're playing in this league, but once this league is over, that's it for them. They can't go in the sectionals. They can't play
No.
for anything other than in this league.
Correct.
Right. So, which is the one good part of that is that you're able to get some video for college and
Yes.
you know.
So I'm videotaping every single game for all of these players. They're going up on YouTube, so they can download
Take it
them
and cut it
take
up,
and
yeah.
cut it for where they're in the game. And so I'm standing on this little concrete pedestal for 3 games every week with my heels hanging off like Greg Louganis off of the diving platform, just standing there videotaping back and forth
Wow.
for all the kids. Even so that's I have players in one game, but I do all 3, and we make sure we get those downloaded and up for everybody.
Yeah, and that's awesome. The fact to see parents have come together and really created a solution for their children and really, did something that really the district, as taxpayers, that should have been paid for with our taxpayer dollars. There's no reason that we can, deduce for why it didn't happen. But the fact that y'all went forward and did it, is a lot to be said for y'all as parents and for the players. And so, I mean, I really hope that, if it's something that can be done, but we will, I assure you, we will push this issue. We're going to get on the phone starting tomorrow, and we're going to start making some phone calls and start looking at this from a broader perspective and just trying to get some other people involved in the conversation about, why did this happen and if there's any way to be made whole at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a short window for an opportunity to make some people whole, and I think the kids might be excited by that. And it's worth, y'all did this much. It's worth it for community leaders to come together and take the fight to the next level.
And I just appreciate a phone call back from any of the people that I emailed or called, any of them.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Yeah, and that should be a bare minimum.
I was at the very least, we could at least
My
get
elected
explanation.
representatives, please.
Yeah. And at minimum, we could force a conversation. I mean, legally, we can, if you get over 30 people to call the Board of Education on one particular issue, you can force a special meeting to be called on the issue. You know what I'm saying? So if 30 parents who want to answer, you have options. You know what I'm saying? You can at least force a public meeting with a public answer. So if that's something that you want to follow up on, let me know. And if you identify the parents, we can help identify some parents. But we really will start the process to say that we want to hear from the superintendent, we want to hear from the school board. At least from what I've heard from the school board so far, they sound like they. At least in that conversation they was having with the administration, they had a problem with what was going on. But the question is, what can we do to kind of solve it at this particular point? And especially since y'all did most of the work.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
They did all the work.
There you go. I'm sorry, y'all did all the work.
And thank you for having me here today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you on, and it's rewarding. I mean, it's a set of negative circumstances that got us here, but it's really a feel good because at the end, y'all really stepped up and really did something really good and helpful for our children. And so a lot of those children from the English language or the New Americans, they participate in the league as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh wow, that's great.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's great. That's great. Can't even put. You put words on
You
this.
can't put even words to how wonderful it is to see them out there all
Yeah.
playing together.
And parents get to come still see their children
Yeah.
play soccer.
So y'all play every Saturday and Sunday? What time?
Generally, they're at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock,
Okay.
and 2 o'clock on Sunday. Conflicts with a lot of Bills games.
No, but I'm gonna get out there and see one of the games. I just want to
But
just
I
come
know
see. Yeah.
there's one at 6:30
Okay.
on Saturday.
All right.
4:30 and 6:30 this week.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna definitely get out there and just see one of the games. Just to get my own sense of what's going on. But is anything else you want to share before we get ready to close?
No, I just want to thank you for the time to come here today.
Oh, thank you so much, and good luck to you. Good luck to all the guys that are playing on the team. Good luck to your sons, and thank you again to Delaware Soccer Club, Greg's Tree Service, and Narden School for everybody who came together to show that as a community. When we put our minds together, there's nothing we can't do, especially when it's in the best interest of our children. Listen up, everybody. This has been another week of We the Parents. I mean, we at We the Parents are committed to making sure we make the community better than we found it, that we have a clear vision for all of our children, a clear plan for what we want to do to help actualize the full potential of every one of our children. We had great examples of that in both of our conversations today. Listen, if you got any questions, you want to be part of We the Parents, you can call us at 332-3773, 332-3773. You can also go to our website, it's calwny.org, We the Parents, calwny.org, We the Parents. If you want to be part of it, we will have our monthly meeting coming up the first. It's on Election Day, November 3rd. You know what I'm saying? So Election Day is going to be a big day this year. It'll be a virtual meeting. So we're looking forward to have everybody join us on our virtual meeting on Election Day. All the information will be at our website. We appreciate everybody. And that's another Thursday night where we had here a good show, a great show here at We the Parents, Dwayne. All right. So everybody, until next week, we say power to the parents.